The following is a transcript of a conversation between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am. 26th June 2021. Innovation. Me. Mitosis, meiosis, mutation, networks. Everything leads us to a constant change, a constant transformation. At what point do you rest? I am. Huh? Me. Yes. When does this process stop and we stop changing? I am. When you die, and not even then. Me. When I die, you mean after I die? I am. No, I mean post-mortem moments, when there is no cell movement, and yet you keep changing because all your chemical elements begin to seek energy in the body's reserves, and consume themselves by releasing themselves into the environment, beginning an oxidation without recycling, which you call decomposition. Me. Ugh. Well, but I mean, another break, you know. That which is said rest after work, or stability after a hard crisis. I don't know, something like that. I am. It's a very religious view of life, but yes, I understand what you mean. The idea of eternal rest. It arises from something very basic, which is to rest, sleep after work, from the work of hunting or gathering. The body hurts so much after hustle and bustle and needs to relax, sleep to regain strength. This, for thousands of years, made us think that life is like that hard work that involves us striving every day, and that death was the deserved rest. That is why they turned death into an idea of eternal vacation, where nobody has to work, where everything is given. What is the goal of living if, in eternity, you have everything required? Me. I guess life is like a test of God or the universe before you get to eternal life. I am. Test for what? Me. That if we do things right, we will have good things. I am. And why? Do well what things? To what end? Me. I guess the idea is that the universe, God, created all this to find order and harmony, and if we manage to find that order and harmony, then we are worthy to live in eternity in a good way. I am. Then paradise would be a reward within a system of punishment and reward. No? Me. Well, I am. Karma and dharma. Divine justice. Me. I guess. I am. What for? Me. I don't know. I think there is a widespread idea that if we do things right in life, we will live good things in the afterlife. I am. Morality again. I would like us to be able to differentiate again the morality of the conscience. Humans constructed the idea of reward and punishment because it is the way individuals in a pack have rights in a group. Whoever is part of the daily work will earn bread and rest. It is obvious why, because if they do not work, there is no production, there is no food, and therefore he dies. If you do things wrong and affect the integrity of a pack, you must be punished, as it shows others that what you have done is wrong and that it can hurt the strength of the group. This creates the idea that in the universe it works in the same way. The heavenly patriarch rewards or punishes with a paradise or a hell those who do well the moral task of living on earth. But morale varies greatly. Me. In what sense? I am. According to history and traditions. For example, in ancient peoples, incest was required to maintain a lineage. Today, incest is seen as a bad thing. In Greek schools, pederasty was normal, as students and teachers were encouraged to create bonds in all bodies, just as their gods did, in the image and likeness. Me. Oh, sure. On the other hand, the Christian God, who is unique and has no relationships, incites chastity. I am. Thus, for monotheistic Semitic peoples, Christians, Hebrews, Arabs, chastity until marriage is fundamental, since sex can only be seen as a reproductive method, while for Greco-Latin peoples, among others, sexuality from childhood was required for an individual to know the power of his body and creation. Christian morality was put above the Greco-Latin, generating so many traumas and sexual repressions that they ended up emerging again as psychopathies. But beyond that, morality, the idea that something is right or wrong, emerges from a cultural idea and not from cosmic truth. This means that the idea of rest is related to monotheistic Semitic cultures, that consider living in the world as divine punishment and see work on earth as a suffering in which we must demonstrate our repentance to God and that we are worthy to go to heaven and live in paradise again. Me. Again. There are many things I need to understand here. I am. Yes. In the beginning, all beings, souls, lived neat and enlightened with God according to these traditions. When the first couple was created to have children, the devil tempted them with his wiles, awakening evil on earth, original sin. From there, battles were fought between angels and demons, and many souls fell to earth. Thus began to be born many of those warriors of light, and all from the lineage of this original couple. So they carried sin, the denial of God, in their genes. This made them leave paradise to have to struggle to get food, and they began to work, to suffer. Since then, having denied God, humanity suffers, works, must strive to achieve things from sunrise to sunset. Therefore, the idea of rest is clouded with paradise, leading us to a subtle idea of believing that every process we live is part of that punishment, which will one day end if we do things right. Me. Wow, you just broke a concept, something that even I think I had instilled in the cells. The idea that everything I live is an exam to prove something to someone, and that if I do well, I will be approved and I will be able to rest, have that vacation, when everything is fine. It is not like that. I am. Of course not. It's culture. It's moral. Does a molecule rest? Does an organ rest? No. Always, in one way or another, they are in operation, doing something. Now, in nature, there are two processes that we call contraction and distension. The process of contraction is the force of action, in which polarities contract with each other to generate energetic tension that gives rise to movement. Distension is the process of releasing that energy, in which the polarities relax after the action. These two processes are natural in all things and mark the cycles of things such as seasons, storms, earthquakes, birth, chemical bonds, everything. Naturally, this produces wakefulness and sleep, states of alertness or relaxation of the nervous system. The state of alert is what puts us into action, making the body react, producing different emotions and creating mental links that generate ideas or solutions to the circumstances effectively. This process requires a lot of energy, so eventually it will need to be recovered. That is why the body itself and its networks enter into relaxation, releasing all the energy, and leaving each part of the body distended, relaxed, which leads to the organism resting. Rest comes from the word cansar, from the Indo-European quet, and thus from the Latin quasare, which means to shake, hit. So adding the particle des speaks to us of stopping, agitating, or hitting. In English, rest comes from restare, which means to stay in one place, as opposed to tire out, which comes from Taurian, and this from teu, which means lack of something. That lack is energy. So, to generate that energy turmoil, you need a moment of recharge. In the subconscious, this basic idea of energy functioning was creating the basic concepts of we sleep at night. At night, you have to hide. You work from sunrise to sunset. You rest when you finish the work. You have to do things well to be able to rest. In work cultures, rest is seen as a reward or a defeat, since a good job done in the day deserves a good rest, and a bad job between which you decide to rest for a moment is a defeat to survival. Me. Wow. But yes, it's true. Even today I tell myself things like that sleeping during the day is like a defeat. I am. When it doesn't make sense. Because if you're tired, it's because you lack energy and you must sleep to get it back. The lack of knowledge of the physical body created ideologies that kept the body at the limit of what it can give, taking life and its effort as divine punishment. Therefore, the concept was generated that life in its entirety was a test work to know if we were worthy to be part of the divine clan from which we were once expelled, and thus, in our death, what seemed to be a long rest, to be able to rest in paradise, being approved by God. Me. Sure. All very seen from the human vision. I am. But the truth is much different. Mitosis, mutations, networks, and what you seek, I'm sorry to say, doesn't exist. Me, the rest, after all this process? I am. Because the process is eternal, and there is no behind or before. It is a constant of contractions and strains, of valleys and mountains and a wave of vibration. Therefore, you must broaden your vision of things and recognize that only you are able to determine how much and why you need rest. It is a function of how you decide to live your life that it will be one way or another. You understand? It does not depend on a punishment or on anyone superior, but on your way of living the constant. Me. And how do I live it harmoniously? I am. With innovation. Surely you have heard this term referring to technology, because lately it is technological innovation that most modifies the world we live in. However, innovation goes further. Innovation is staying in a constant state of looking for the new. The human is an animal of habits, which, when it finds something that does it good, tries to sustain it constantly. This wears that something out, causing it to deteriorate in its use, and sooner or later it will end up being obsolete. And yet, they continue to use it. Systems, beliefs, objects, spaces, ideas, relationships, and fall again into the same, increasingly deteriorated, broken. This always produces, cycle after cycle, the same conflicts and errors. Me. Better known evil than good to know. In English, we say, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. I am. And that's how it goes. This phrase sums up this idiosyncrasy very well. The fear of not knowing how to manage the new makes them cling to the old just to know its mechanisms. They question the new with fear, not because it does something wrong, but because they will be ridiculous, because they do not feel aware of it. They prefer to have familiar arguments about old and useless ideas in the current context than to throw themselves into the new and suffer from mediocrity. Therefore, it is important to accept change and innovate. The daily practice of innovation helps us to understand that nothing is fixed, nothing is static, that everything changes, and that it is necessary to readapt, learn new things in life, always look beyond habit. Me. So you advise us to always seek to do something new. I am. After a crisis does not come the promised rest. Comes another crisis. Crisis is a time of transformation, and transformation is constant. You will always suffer crisis if what you long for is an eternal rest, saying, how long will we have to do these works of consciousness? Because the truth is that this rest depends on your ability to innovate, to understand that each crisis is an opportunity, that in each conflict you learn something new. Who sees work as a punishment instead of a mechanism of growth will always long for a rest that will never come, because there will always be something new to manage. Me. So to those people who usually ask, until when, it is necessary to say, always, and that because of this we must learn to make the crisis become a stability. I am. A daily growth option. Removing the fear of not knowing. Not knowing is good, because it invites us to learn something new. And if that new thing does not come, it will be necessary to invent it, create it, live it. It's okay to feel like a kid, even if you're 90. It's okay not to know and ask, to be surprised, to learn something new every day if possible. Innovation enriches the being, nourishes it with thousands of new options. We are entering an Aquarian time in which the key is innovation, things, objects, novel situations in every corner. Therefore, you cannot deny the obvious. There will always be something new to learn, and the only way to adapt to the new is to live in the new. Me. That is, innovate. I am. So ask yourself this. What are the things in your life that need a change? What things have you always wanted to do and haven't done? What are the things you always repeat or have the same result every time? Become aware of this and recognize that in you there is the power to innovate, to transform yourself into something new, and that no matter how minimal, what you learn will make a big difference in you. Me. Like learning to make fried eggs, something that seems very easy, but that could make a big difference one day in your life. Very hungry. I am. Exactly. Therefore, human, recognize yourself eternal innovator, because there is no rest in life. Life must be lived, and as long as you live it as a child, surprising yourself in every step, learning in every game, you will know that you already lived in paradise. You only forgot what it meant. Me. I am a generator of everything new. I am. You are a product of that generation. You have been innovation, and you can be innovation again. Me. To build a new world, I must be someone new. I am. Innovate.